So Gabriel, again, thank you very much for joining us. You're the online photo editor at the Volkskrant, one of the online team. We're going to talk
Yes.
quite a bit about what that means and what that involves. But tell us a little bit about your background in the visual world, how you came to be a photo editor. When did you start, and what attracted you to that sort of position?
Yeah, I started working as a photographer for the Volkskrant in 2008, and after a few years I got the possibility to work also as a photo editor at this newspaper, and this all was on freelance base. So I started there as a photo editor and a photographer, and worked primarily for print. And after several years, the newspaper decided that we had to focus more on online journalism and online presentation of our news stories. So that was the moment that 4 years ago I started working more for online and for digital journalism. And in the last few years, actually, I only work for the online part of our newspaper, and there I work as a photo editor and as a storyteller and multimedia producer.
When you started out as a photographer, did you imagine one day that you would become a photo editor? What attracted you to the idea of being an editor when you were offered the opportunity?
Yeah, as a photographer, I always thought that one day when I was older, maybe I would become a photo editor, but that day came way more earlier than I expected, and it came on my way as an opportunity, and I thought, yeah, let's try this opportunity. Maybe it's fitting me, and after a few years, I realized that this way of working with photography is it fits me better than working as a photographer myself. So and I like the dynamic, working on a high level on a lot of different subjects with a lot of different people. So on different, it's more diverse, I think, than working only as a photographer.
We have people in our audience will be from all around the world and may not know the media landscape in Amsterdam and the Netherlands all that well. Tell us a little bit about the Volkskrant and what its coverage is like, what its priorities are, what sort of stories you're working on for the audience.
Yeah. So the Volkskrant is a daily Dutch newspaper. We have a news section every day with a daily cultural supplement. And in the weekends, we have a magazine and some extra weekend supplements. You have a few newspapers in the Netherlands, and I think we're one of the bigger ones. We're interested in social and climate issues as a newspaper, and we're really image and photography driven. It's really part of our identity as a newspaper, and we think that it's really important to have this as a part in our storytelling or in our. It's really a part of what we do as a newspaper in bringing stories from all over the world. It's not only that we're not only focused on domestic stories, but we have an international approach, and for our Dutch, but it's mainly Dutch readers.
Yeah. What's the balance between the audience that's kind of focused on the print product versus online and so on? Is the online audience much bigger than print? Is print increasing or decreasing for the Volkskrant?
Print is decreasing and online is growing. So that's and especially on the digital market it's growing.
Yeah. And
not really hard. It is not that it's not an exploding market, but
yeah,
when you compare with it, print is slowly shrinking, and online is slowly growing. So it's
so consistent with trends in most other European, North American places for that.
exactly. Yeah.
I mean, there are, for people who spend time in the Netherlands, I mean, there seems to be a pretty lively media sector, quite a range of titles that were papers now are online papers and so on. How would you characterize the media sector in the Netherlands? Do you think it's in a healthy state, or is it facing difficulties and short on resources?
Yeah, I think that yeah, we have I think 6 or 7 newspapers in the Netherlands, and I think we all struggle with shrinking markets and budgets which are under pressure. I think that's the same with what you described in Northern Europe Europe or North America. I think that's everywhere the same. But I think we at the Volkskrant, we could be really happy that we have still budgets which we can work with and do good online or print journalism. It's photojournalism. We have still budgets to do real photojournalism and not totally depending on news agencies or photo agencies. So we can work independently and develop our own stories and with our own vision and own photographers. So that's I think we could be really happy that we are still in this position, and I think that's similar to a lot of other countries and a lot of other news outlets.
The photographers you work with, do you have staff photographers, or do you mostly work with freelancers? And if it's freelancers, do you commission them for particular stories? How does the process work there?
Yeah, we have all our photographers are freelance photographers, but we have a really big group of freelance photographers all over the world.
Yep.
And in the Netherlands, we have, and also in some other countries of the world, we have some photographers where we have a special agreement with. So you could say they're like staff photographers because they're getting daily assignments and they can trust that we will work a lot with them, and we can trust them that they delivering the quality which we want, and that there also will be that they are also available for us when we are looking for photographers. So that's more concentrated in the Netherlands. This group of staff photographers, which we can call them, is it's more concentrated in the Netherlands, but we have a few in Germany, and in Africa we have 2 photographers which we have this agreement with. So and then in a lot of countries we have also not this stuff like photographers, but local photographers which we really like to work with a lot. And we also like to build this bond of trust with local photographers, and so that you can work more often together and have this trustful relation, and which is really important when you working on bigger and important stories.
I mean, it used to be the case in the industry that international photographers would be flown into various locations around the world to do stories, and that was the principal way in which coverage was produced. Does that still happen for you, or are you relying more and more on local photographers to work with and provide stories from more diverse places?
Mostly we try to work with local photographers, but from time to time we're still flying our own photographers over the world. But like I just said, some of these photographers living in this other country, so then we work with them when they're living or traveling over there by themselves, or deciding to live for 2 years in Brazil, for example, and then we work a lot with them because of this trustful relation we are building with them. But in the past, when I started as a photo editor, we sent our photographers all over the world to every place, and now this is really changed to, I think, a more healthy balance, which is working most of the time with local photographers or almost local photographers. And from time to time, when, for example, safety issues are a thing, or we have some bigger stories where quality or certain things are necessary to bring to the story,
Yeah.
then I like to work sometimes with a photographer which I already worked with, so I can know what I can accept from the work from him or her.
Yeah. Do you think with that balance changing between international photographers going in and using local photographers that there's been an obvious change in the types of visuals that are produced? Do you think local photographers produce different kinds of visuals of the situation than an international photographer would produce?
Yeah, I think local photographers most of the times have more access, more knowledge about the subject.
Yeah.
This can work in two directions. When you have already a lot of knowledge about a subject and you think, yeah, this is really boring. Why are you reporting this from the Netherlands?
Right.
Yeah, you have this willing to make an interesting story yeah, I think it's good to be surprised on a story. So that's something sometimes good to have someone who's not working on this subject a lot of times.
Yeah.
But your question was, what if they're bringing something new? Yeah, they're having more access. They more up to date about the local situation. Yeah, there's also a danger that the writer is using the photographer as a fixer. So you have to be really careful that the photographer has enough time to make their images and or videos or audio recordings. So, but yeah, when that's okay, I think it's really good when you have a local photographer which can provide some information to a writer which has this information, for example.
Yeah. I mean, those issues about diversity have been really important in the profession over the last few years, both in terms there have been scandals like the Me Too scandal and so on, but also questions of geographic diversity, ethnic and racial diversity, and so on. Are these debates that you're kind of hearing, taking part in, and are they questions that are influencing the way that you might select photographers for or videographers for particular assignments?
In the last decade, we had a lot of female photographers who were coming in as an intern and still working for us. So that came quite naturally, I think, at our photo desk, that we had a more balance between male and female photographers. And we are, of course, we're really happy with this because this balance brings also other possibilities or other way of making imagery. So this came quite naturally, but still we are aware of this discussion and that this is happening. And but the harder part is to find good local photographers which you can trust on and where you can work with and build a relationship with. And especially with photographers abroad, when you have to meet them online or over phone calls and explain to them what you want. That's the hardest part of this thing where we have to work on. But
how would you get a first introduction with a local photographer? How would you find out about them in the first place? We will go later into a little bit more of some of the practical details of where you see work and how you like to receive work and so on and so forth. But say you were trying to commission a story in a particular country or region and you didn't have an established person there that you had worked with, how would you go about locating someone who could do the work?
Instagram is a great resource. You can find a lot of photographers over there, and it's a good way to research on photographers. But also, I'm also asking local photographers who I know or international photographers who I know which are specialized in that region if they know a local person who could do this job for us. And or it could be that our correspondent has some local contacts with photographers who want to try to work with, and then they are suggesting this person or photographer to us, and So there are a lot of different ways who this new photographers and local photographers can came to us, but or looking to other media who reported on the same area, which are photographers they used, and or they used a local one, and then you're still going to Instagram to check out what they did on several stories, because you can do one really great story on an exotic theme, but when you have to do this more boring story about an office, for example, you have to deliver as well on that theme, and not it's I'm
more challenging.
I try to, when I found a photographer which is good to work with, and I always check what they do on different themes, and if they're not only specialized in more photo interesting themes. So
tell us a little bit about the structure of the kind of the photo desk at the Volkskrant, and kind of the division between print and online. How many people are involved? How is the workflow organized, and how many people are part of that workflow?
So I will talk about then over the photo desk, and we have around 14 photo editors who are working on the magazine, the supplements, and the news part of the newspaper. And we have a print part, and we're trying to build a stronger online part at our desk. And most of the photo editors are working for print and online, and I'm working almost strictly only for online as a photo editor and storyteller. So that's a little bit how the photo desk is arranged. And then the photo desk works a lot really close with the multimedia desk, where we have 2 and a few online designers who are now getting their skills introduced to do more online design. So that's a thing we're working on. But in the last year, we had actually only 1 online designer and 2 newsroom developers who are making the infrastructure for us as a designer or a storyteller or the designer. And we work really close together with them, and that gives us also a lot of possibilities to do stories and do online storytelling on a more better way.
So in terms of online storytelling, what do you think is photography's primary contribution to online storytelling? What's the kind of the place and the role of the photograph in online storytelling?
I think for news consumption in general, the image is really important to get the reader into the story and to keep the reader in the story. So there's also, then we can also talk about the difference between print and online journalism, for example, because in print you can have a really nice photo spread with one good photo on it and a nice infographic, and the reader can start reading. And when the reader is tired, he can watch the photo and keeps on reading when he wants to. But in online journalism or online storytelling, you have to keep the reader in the story, because when he's clicking away or opening a different app, he's gone. He's not coming back to the story. So you have to present the story in a different way than in print. It's really linear, and you're scrolling to the story. So you have to find ways that the reader which keeps the reader interested, to keep the reader in the story. And I think their photography or video or a combination of those two is that's the role of photography in online journalism, to keep the reader in the story, and also to visualize the most important parts of the story, which is because the reader nowadays is consuming a lot of information through images, and with less reading and less time for reading. So the more information you can provide in images, which can be consumed really fast and really powerful, I think that's the most important thing in online journalism and photojournalism for online storytelling. And also in print, as a newspaper photographer, you can go for an assignment and make only one really, really good news photo, and then your assignment was perfect. But nowadays, you have to show every part of the story.
Right.
And you have in a good situation, is every scene the reporter is describing is also photographed, and you have this balance between text and photography, which is working together to keep the story alive.
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest difference between print and online.
Yeah. Well, the best way to understand this is to have a look at some stories. So you're going to have a drink, but you're going to share a couple with us. So if you can share your screen. While you're doing that, just a reminder to people in the audience, if you want to ask Gabriel some questions, please drop them in the Q&A box. I'll bring them into the conversation, or we'll cover them at the end.
I will show one or maybe two stories, and only how we presented it online.
Yep.
This is a story which is a typical day or week reportage which we did. It's not a long-term project.
Right.
It's a story about the Sami people and their reindeer migration routes, which are getting disturbed by windmill parks, were getting built in northern Scandinavia. And this story starts with the writer and the photographer. This idea started at our desk, and then they said, we want to do this story. Can we have a photographer who can also provide enough imagery to make it a special story for online?
Right.
And then we tried to talk with the writer and the photographers and think about extra layers which you can provide in the online storytelling. So we're always looking for extra elements to make the story stronger. This can be, for example, audio or video or GPS tracking, and this really depends on where the story goes and where it's about. And because this was really about these migration routes, we wanted to show these migration routes, but we really soon in the progress, we realized that these migration routes are not found on Google Maps or on other maps which are already existing. So we asked our team to bring a map of Scandinavia in the northern part, and where the Sami could draw the routes on where they used to go and where the windmill parks were built and where the new routes should go, but where the problems were existing. So that was a little bit the beginning of the story. And then it was also interesting to get the reporter and the photographer at the right time at the right place, because you can't ask them to wait for you with this migration. When it's happening, and they had to be in a certain place in a certain hour, and then they could go with them on this journey. So it was quite hectic to get them on the story, but when they were, then we were quite happy that they succeeded to get there. And then when the photographer and the reporter are on their job, I've contact with them if everything is going okay, but then I let them do their work and not involving too much in saying what the photographer should do. And in this case, Julius Schrank went with our reporter, and he's a really great drone operator and can make amazing videos and combine this with photography. So I will go then to the story. So
that's one of the things that your photographers have to do, is that they have to be able to do video, do audio, and maybe even drone technology. So they need a large range of skills. Yes.
Yeah, and not every photographer has the same amount of skills, but I think that as a photographer nowadays, at least you should be able to make video as well.
Yeah.
Besides your photography, and on some occasions it isn't possible. For example, when you're working on the front line in Ukraine and there are safety concerns, then maybe it's not that smart to focus also on video and maybe focus only on safety and on photography. or there can be a lot of situations where it's too hectic or too busy, or for what reason that it's impossible to do both. But yeah, in a lot of situations it is possible. And yeah, Julius, for example, he's a great guy who can do photography and flying drones at almost the same time. And so that's I really like to work with him on multimedia project, because I know that he can deliver, and he will deliver for our online presentation.
Yeah.
So
there's
just
before you go on, there's a question from Mike in the audience. He asks, how do you talk to visual storytellers about an assignment to get the greatest potential out of what they produce? How do you help them define a narrative? So when you're setting them out on an assignment, what discussions do you have with the photographers and the videographers and so on about kind of the narrative of the story that's going to unfold?
Yeah, and then the narrative of the story is I think the writer, in most of cases, our writer or correspondent is leading in the development of the story, and or in what way it will develop. Lately we are trying to experiment with to do this the other way around. So photographers are producing their own big stories, and after that we are looking for writers who can work together with him. So it's more photography or image driven, and less text driven. So because in most cases it's really text driven, and then we're trying to get more imagery into the story, and or better infographics, and make it more interesting for online. So it starts with talking actually it starts not talking with the storyteller, but with the reporter, who's actually also storyteller or part of the storytelling team, but he's focused on text. And then we're talking with the reporter. Can we do, for example, a 24 hours story that we follow a certain person for 24 hours, because that can be an interesting way to build a story for online, because you have this linear 24 hour and you can build on that. Or so most of the times the story development is thought out together with the reader, and then we talk with the photographer, with the writer, and with the photographer, and with the designer in some cases. What can we do with the story, and where can we put some extra layers of information? Because in the past with print, you had only print, and only you can put 1 or 2, in some cases 8 pictures. And online there are endless possibilities, as long as it makes the story stronger. So you can some stories you put only audio, or it is only video, or almost only photography. And so it really depends on the story. And and in forehand we try to think what are the tools who are telling the story in its best way. And then I always talk with the photographers with what I want to get back from them in a technical way. So I'm asking them to make video, or to make certain drone shots, and it's not really not complicated what I'm asking, because when I'm explaining what we want as a moving image, is actually a moving image. It's not complicated camera movements or stuff like that. It's actually a photo where the subject is moving. So you have this,
just like in kind of the lead image that you've got here on the screen.
It's almost a photograph. The movement is so subtle that you almost don't see it, but it's a video shot. And you're directly there where you need to be. It's powerful, and I think it's a good beginning of the story. So now we're going into the story, and then we're telling the story with photography, still photography, and slideshows, like in this case, and video. And I think in this case, the combination of slideshow, still photography, and video is, it keeps it really alive. And now
these movements, particularly small movements in the video and so on, this is all for you. This is all about keeping the viewer's attention.
Yeah, but also about, it's also beautiful to see and interesting to see how these renders are moving.
Yeah.
It's and that's also part to keep I think aesthetics is part of keeping the reader interested in the story.
Yeah.
And it has also a storytelling element. It's not only about aesthetics or beautiful photos. It has to be about this thing what we're seeing. So everything you're seeing is also written here in the text. So when as a storytelling, when you're putting a photo somewhere in the text and the reader is reading the text and is asking himself why I'm looking to this photo, why I'm not seeing what I'm reading, then you made a mistake as a storyteller, I think. Then that's the point where the reader can go in another direction.
Right.
And this is the part where I talked about where you have this interactive video graphic. And this information we wouldn't have when we didn't thought about this beforehand before they went to Scandinavia.
Right.
And after the trip, I get back this imagery and the videos and start editing the story to. When I start editing the story, I first start reading the text and start with putting the images which need to be in the story on the places where they need to be.
Right.
So there are always some photos. Let's say in this case there isn't an interview, but in some case there's an interview. You have to show the persons who are interviewed. Those are not the most interesting photos, but they have to be there. So I started putting the necessary photos on the right places, and then I start building, with the rest of the photography to get the right vibe in the story, to have the right balance between text and photography. And there are a lot of different things where you can think about. And we're looking at now on a desktop screen, but when I'm designing the storytelling, I'm forcing myself to think about the mobile screen, because 80% of the news consumption is on a mobile phone. So you have to think about it, and in this case, I have to really think. I can change it here to mobile.
Right. So just to underline that, you said 80% is on mobile.
Is in our case. So maybe there are newspapers and other places in Europe where this is different, but in our case, 80% from the digital consumption is on a mobile phone. So you can see on a mobile phone, like in this case, the grid is only 2 photos, and on desktop, you have 3 photos. So that's you have to think a little bit different on the mobile phone. It's not that you have to really put less photos in it. Most of the times you put less photos on a mobile presentation, but there are certain tricks to get the same amount of imagery on a mobile presentation.
Are you given the importance of the mobile presentation? Does that lead you to ask photographers to do a particular style of image or a particular type of image, or is that something that you choose by doing an edit from the image, all the images they provide?
In some cases, you have. I'm asking for a certain kind of photos.
Right.
For example, that you have more vertical images, or that I need a photo or a photograph where there can be a text inside of in the photo, so there's some space for text inside of the photo, or In some cases, I'm also cropping photos. Always I'm always asking the photographer if the crop is okay for him, but because when you're presenting a photo on desktop, landscape is perfect.
Yep.
But when you present it on smartphone, I'm more interested in 4x5 or square formats because they're consuming better on a smartphone. But when the image is taken in a landscape way and you can't crop it back to a square, I think you shouldn't do it because you're taking away some of the power of the images. But a lot of images can be brought back from their original photo format to 4x5, which is already a little bit more square and fits the mobile screen better.
Yeah. And then just technically, when a photographer comes back with image files and video files and so on, it'll be a larger number than you'll end up choosing. How do you go about making that edit? Do you do all of that on screen? What programs do you use? Do you ever print out photographs to look at sequencing physically, or is it all done digitally?
Smaller stories like this render story, for example, I will stop screen sharing the screen. We'll go back to that later. But sorry, what was the question again?
I mean, how do you actually do the editing when a photographer comes back with the images?
In this story with this reindeer story, for example, which is in our case a smaller story, I do the editing on my computer, and I'm using a Bridge for that, and I'm demanding good captions in the photographs. I need all the names from all the persons who are portrayed in the photo, or the place. I need the places, and the situation should be in the caption, because when I'm reading the text of the reporter, I should really fast find the images which go with that part of the text. So in Bridge, I'm looking for this information, and then I'm working with Bridge in Photoshop and Adobe program.
Do your colleagues who are working mostly for the print edition, do they ever print out photographs these days?
Yeah. And I do still print as well, but that's mostly with way bigger projects.
Right.
For example, the best news photos of 2023. Then you have this big amount of photos which you have to discuss with your colleagues, and every colleague has another way of working in Bridge or in Lightroom, so that doesn't work really good together. So then prints are we're still printing, or I'm now working on another really long photo essay project with this over 150 photos, I think, and the storytelling, the linear line is really important, and therefore I also print it and put it on the wall so I can see the whole story in one view, and therefore I make prints and can write directly beside the place where I should do better editing, or where text should be changed. But in most cases I don't print anymore like I used to do in the past. And then when I started as a photo editor, I always had some prints with me to show to other editors, which should be the next front page. I always had this print somewhere, and now I'm walking around with my laptop and I need on that way with me. So
why don't you show us the second story that you were going to take us through?
The second story I will show you is a bigger story or a bigger project, actually, which we did. This project we produced in 2022, and we produced it for the COP climate conference. So almost exactly a year ago. And we decided that we wanted to speak with youths around the world who were affected by climate change. So we went to 7 places, I think 7 places, 7 or 6 places on the world where we visited and spoke with youths who their living environment was affected by global warming and climate change. So this is the landing page where all the stories are presented and beginning.
Yeah.
And you can see here already that it's all video in the beginning.
Yes.
And but yeah, those videos are made with a photographer's eye, I think, because
Yes.
the frame is still and it's the movement is really subtle.
Yeah.
And I have the header, and now you're here representing all the different climate youths. So we went to Peru, into Kenya, to England, to Canada, Greenland,
Yeah.
the US, the Netherlands, and the Philippines. And this last one, I won't show them all because it's way too much. But I will show the last one. This is the last story from the Philippines, where there was coastal erosion and sea level rising. And you can see here, this is made by our online designer, who showed all the places where we were in the world and had a textual introduction to the person, to Ellen. And here you have Ellen. And you have here the story, and it's also almost in the same grid presentation I used here. So also all again still slideshow and video. And yeah, here you can see their daily life and how they're fishing and how this is getting affected. Again, the infographics and video.
Yeah, the use of the video at a distance, like in the Sami reindeer story, to show the scale of the landscape and the subtle movement in the landscape seems very effective as a way of giving you establishing shots and context.
Yeah. Yeah, and this was also the moment that we started working more with satellite imagery. And yeah, this is last year. This really took off for us, and we did a lot of OSINT research as well in the Ukraine, for example, with satellite imagery.
Right.
But yeah, we use it here already. It can be really strong to show that actually the whole island is underwater and now it's above water. So
yeah.
So, and this is also, to be honest, directly, this is one of the projects where we tried to work with local photographers in the beginning, but where we decided that we had to work also with our own photographers in some cases to get quality high enough. Because this is also a series, we have all these different stories, and they should fit together in and. So this was one of these stories, and then we had 7 of them. So
it's a big project.
Yeah.
Do you pay attention to the analytics on how many people have viewed or stayed on the story? And do you have a sense of a story like that? What would the audience be in terms of numbers, do you think?
I don't have the exact numbers, but I think it's in this case 100,000 plus unique readers, maybe 200,000. This is one of the better and bigger stories we did.
Yeah.
So I think it will be around that amount of unique readers, but it's really important, and we can test a lot nowadays, especially online. And we couldn't do that in print, but now we can test everything. I think it's important, those numbers, but I don't let them involve my working too much, because then you start to make certain decisions which are not good for the news story. I'm afraid for that. So but and at the other hand, we did also testing if this new presentation, which I just showed you, works better than the old way we did.
Yeah.
And that work, this storytelling with a lot of imagery and good placement of other visual assets, and thinking about where the graphics should be and what should be in the graphics. So it's an extra layer and not a repeating layer from the text.
Yeah.
Thinking about that, it helps really a lot to keep the reader in the story. So
right.
that are some numbers which I'm remembering.
Yeah. So that testing involved having like a focus group, as it were, to try the format out and see how potential audience responded to it.
Yeah. I don't know how it's called internationally, but like A/B testing.
Yeah.
We did A/B testing, and with also different variations, and so therefore we knew that this works better than the old way we did it.
Yeah.
But you can also look to big companies like Apple or whatever, which big company, and look to their website and analyze how they are communicating about their products. Then you already know what the most strongest way is to communicate online. And newspapers in general overall don't have this amount of money to do this big research and testing, but those big multinationals, they have this knowledge and this amount of money and this power to do this testing. So I think as a newspaper or online storyteller, without those budgets, you should look to big commercial companies and take some lessons, inspiration or lessons, so that that they're all selling or telling their story with imagery combined with text, combined with infographics, back to imagery, back to text, back to and this is a game between text and images. It's a really the strongest way of providing information is this combination, I think, and not only text.
Right.
And this is something, this knowledge or this thing I see around me in the world. This is something, I take with me as a photo editor or a storyteller. In a newspaper, we don't have millions to test what's the best way to tell a news story to an audience. And I think a news story should be also a news story because there's a certain need to tell the story. And when you have a certain need to tell the story, you should think about numbers of readers or selling points or stuff like that. You should think about the news story.
Yeah. No doubt someone in the organization, though, thinks about the number of views and
of course.
Yeah.
And it's also really important, but that's their job, and my job is to do editing and storytelling and focusing on that, and I really love that. So
with that climate change story that you did a year ago, how much time did you have to put that story together? When did you first think about doing that story? How much time did the photographers have, and how much time did it take you to actually produce that story?
Almost a year, and then not working constantly on it, but the idea started, and then I started to look for photographers who could do this project and who their style should fit together. That was also a thing, that I had to look for photographers who could fit together and work together as well, and have conversations together on how to do certain stuff. And then we started planning the journeys and the different. We tried also to find the shoots on forehand, but in some occasions we couldn't find them on forehand, but had to go there and look and search to find the right person to tell the story. So that was also a hard part. Important thing in this case was also time management, to convince the more paper-minded people in the team that we should have all the stories 2 months for publication, because making an online presentation takes longer than a print presentation. A lot of people think that's the other way around, because you can just throw it online and you're ready. When you want to do it on a Volkskrant way, you have to think about the presentation.
in terms of the graphic design and the layout and the movement on the page. And
exactly, and in some cases you need to work together with a newsroom developer, and you want some special in the website construction, and you have to wait for that, and this takes time, and the designer has to write all his code, and you have to do the video editing, you have to manage way more imagery than in print. And in print you can work way faster, and we're doing this already over 101 years print, so we can do this. We know we can do it, but online we're really young and new in the online world, so there are a lot of possibilities, but it takes also time. So this was also one thing, this time management. With the younger people on the team understood this, that this was really important to have everything right in time at the desk, so we can start working on it and fit them together. And and the last part is receiving all the material and started doing the old school photo editing work. So editing the photos, which, like I described, is beginning with choosing all the key images, and the key image can be a close-up of something. It doesn't have to be the best image. The best image will be in the story, but start with the key images in the story, and where they have to be, and where you can keep the reader interested. And with the good images, easy to keep the reader in the story.
Exactly. You described earlier, how you kind of have a network of people that you work with, that you've identified, you trust them, and so on. But can freelance photographers, independent photographers pitch to you cold? Is that welcome? If so, how do you like them to do that? And what sort of things are you looking for in a pitch to attract your attention?
We're always looking for new photographers, and so I think the most easy and the most common way is by sending an email, and I like to have a PDF in the email with name and subject in the file name, and I don't want 200 pictures in the PDF, only 10 or 20 is enough, or when it's really good or different stories, it can be more, but there have to be a reason that I have to look through more than 20 images. So that's the most common way, sending an email, proposing a subject which you already did, or which you were planning to do, and then we can work from there. Another way can be by contacting over Instagram or other social media, but the best way nowadays, and especially in this digital world, is trying to meet a photo editor in real life. So try to visit the photo editor at the desk, or try to catch up with him at a exposition or a festival. Because in real life, you remember a person way better when you spoke with a person in real life. And I understand that when you work living in another country on the other side of the world, it's not that easy to drop by at the Volkskrant. But if you're here, you're always welcome if you have a good idea to show to us. What is a good idea? That can be everything. I think it's important that you know for a certain point what we're looking for. And I can imagine that for photographers who don't know the Volkskrant, that's maybe hard to find out. But I think we have quite an international name, and that every photographer can find a photographer who knows what we're looking for. So that's not that hard to find out. And you should always watch out that you're not presenting a story which we just published, or which is 100 times in the news already. Because for example, we have a lot of photographers who are going to Israel or trying to report on the Israel-Gaza conflict, I get a lot of pitches from this region, and I think that's the hardest part as a photographer, to pitch a story or a theme when all the photographers are there.
Right.
And
Right.
Your chances the biggest when you have a story which no one has told, or which never has been seen. And when you have something like that, we are really interested. We have three times a week we have a full spread in print for photo essays, and we can bring a lot of different kind of stories there. So, and we're not only looking then for heavy news subject like wars and hunger and climate disasters, but also to more lighter and daily life themes, which gives the newspaper a good balance in different kind of stories. It's not good to make a print paper with only pages with heavy news. So therefore, photography can be giving a lighter touch to the paper. So when you don't hesitate to pitch a light or an easy daily life story.
But I suppose that, as you said, the number one thing is for people to have a sense of what you do. So they would need to spend time on your website having a look at the print version if that was possible. But while having that sense, not to pitch exactly the same thing that you've just done. So a balance of those two things. Yes.
I watched two other. I think that this is every photo editor will say this, that you and will have experiences of. Yeah, I saw that you had this photo story about this kind of dogs, but I have a story about dogs, but and it's just another way. It's a little bit better than the other one. Even if it's better, you bring a story about dogs in the same month, not even twice a year. It's
I mean, are there some stories that you would really like to see covered? It's a question from the audience. You know, are there some types of stories that you think are not as present or as well covered in the media as they should be? Are there some topics you would like to see more of that you think haven't been covered? Anything spring to mind?
I think it's really hard, because the best stories I can't imagine them, because they're the best stories. But what I said before, I don't only look to the heavy news stories who are getting their awards at World Press, for example, or who are presented at Visa Poulimage. That are the heavy stories from in our industry. But there are a lot of lighter and easier stories, and I feel by a lot of photographers, I feel this hesitation to present this more daily life, or and I'm not waiting for all the festivals in Spain, for example, which are every month there's another strange or funny festival. But I know for a fact that there are a lot of other traditions in Spain or local culture or things that are telling a lot about the story, which I can imagine here in Amsterdam. I know there are a lot of stories, but I think that's also a part of, as a photographer or a storyteller, to find these stories who are new for the people. And as a young photographer, you shouldn't start a story which is done already 100 times. There's no good reason, I think, to do a story which is already done a few times by better photographers in a better way. So look for this original new subjects.
So no more bullfighting stories from Spain then.
No.
Yes. World Press photo juries used to do a lot of entries about that. Question from Mike. He says, independent photographers often express frustration with the lack of feedback from visual editors. do you let photographers know what you think of the work they submit? Assuming that you're not going to use it or only use some of it. If so, what would be the main things that you would address? What would be the main reasons you would not take up some work or use some work that had been pitched or submitted?
Yeah, I try always to answer on pitches, and sometimes I answer really late, and sometimes I answer really quick. In the last case, you probably got a publication. In the other case, I'm trying to explain why we don't publish this story. And I wrote, for example, a lot of emails back that we don't need a photographer in Israel at this moment because we have one, and we have a big project where we worked the last year on in this region. So there will be a big publication in the next 2 weeks on this area, and we don't need extra photo essays for this region. So that's I wrote this email several times. But in a lot of cases, 2 weeks after I got the first email. So sometimes you have to wait, and I try always to answer all the emails, and there will be certainly some photographers now who are thinking that you didn't.
I haven't heard from him.
You didn't answer my email, and that probably will happen as well. But don't hesitate to email again, and also, I think it's also good to let some photo editors who you want to work with or who you're trusting your whereabouts when you're traveling to a country. Say, it doesn't matter. Let them know that you're over there, because then it's so often that we're thinking, our local photographer in England isn't available. So what was the name again from this person? And so you have to keep yourself in. You have to promote yourself to this photo editors, but I know it's a hard balancing act, because we as photo editors have a name that we are not answering all the emails, but you have to push yourself to keep sending these emails on a way that's not getting irritating.
That's also a balance.
And you have to find out for yourself which is the right balance, and what is the right tone. And getting angry at a photo editor that you're not getting your emails back, that isn't the right way, I think. But not responding totally anymore isn't working as well. It's
we advise when we are dealing with students working on this, we say, it's obviously a balance. It depends on the situation, but if you haven't heard back after a couple of weeks, maybe a gentle reminder, would be okay, which I think works pretty well. You've emphasized email, a PDF with a small selection of images, get to the point in the email. And we also suggest that in the subject line, people put their name and the topic, so that if you are thinking like, oh gosh, wasn't there a photographer from England doing topic X, you have something to search in the email to find.
Exactly. And also put your name or the subject in the beginning of the file name of the PDF, because in my case, I have this folder with a lot of PDFs in it. And a lot of photographers, they think that those PDFs are lost, but they're still here. And I know what I have in this folder, so the faster I will find this PDF, the bigger the chance is that you're getting published. So think from the perspective of a chaotic photo editor and
frantically searching
PDFs, and when this email can get lost or deleted. With this PDF is out of the email. You should have all the information still over there, and not only in the email, because they're getting separated on a certain point. I have colleagues who are printing those PDFs, so and deleting all their email at the end of the day. Then and when you don't have your contacts in those PDFs, then you certainly don't get any.
Good practical advice. So Gabriel,
and I try to contact them in real life, the photo editors. I think it can be a hard job to find one, but if start with connecting with one, and then
sounds good. So we're coming towards the end of our time. So just a final question for you. What you may well have covered this, but you might want to repeat it. What would be the number one do and the number one don't for a photographer in approaching a photo editor? What would be the number one thing you would recommend, and the number one thing that you would say, please don't do that?
Don't send WeTransfers with a lot of files without captions. Without introduction, then you're just wasting time, I think, and on both sides. And what you should do is think about new stories, think about out of the box in themes and stories, and don't try to do the same stories as all your colleagues are doing, or try to find new stuff, and don't be afraid to try new stuff as well. So I'm still talking to photographers to convince them to do video and do drone operating, and our younger photographers, the newer generation, for them it's totally normal, but there are still older photographers for who it's really hard to make this. I think it's a really small step to, for example, video, and I can imagine that flying a drone is maybe for some people a big step. From a personal experience, I know it's really easy to fly one, so everyone can fly a drone. But if you don't do it. But making video with the equipment from nowadays, or thinking in other ways of storytelling, I think that this is really necessary for photographers. Don't only think in the still image, but think with audio, think beforehand for online presentations, and not only for newspapers, but also for think about online exhibitions, or how to present your work to a photo editor in a new way. For example, I never had a video sent to me as a pitch, with photo work on it. But I think when I get one, I will be really surprised. I think when you can surprise a photo editor with your pitch, it shouldn't be a video of 20 minutes, but you can make a 1 minute video where you present your work really good, combine this with a PDF, and after this minute video, I think this will be as almost the same impact as meeting in real life, because you saw this presentation or this body of work which is in your mind. And a PDF with pictures, I have a lot of them in my mind. So when you have something new and
great,
compact, shouldn't be really big or complicated. It should be
So two final questions from the audience. One is from Matja. Does the Volkskrant prefer to receive a visual story that includes already a written story from a freelance journalist, or just photos and other visuals from a photographer, so that you can write the story and assign the journalist?
In most cases, we would like to receive the photo or the visual story. But there are some cases where the text from another journalist was, for example, the resource for a piece which was written by our own journalists. So they start working together and write about that. So it is not that often that we buy stories which are already produced in images and in text. It has to be really good or really important or really unique to work with that, because we have a lot of writers and correspondents all over the world. In every part of the world we have our own writer, and they have to do their job as well. So in some cases, when there's a journalist involved, we try to work together. In most cases, we only buy the visuals story and make the text ourselves. We have also cases where there were photographers who presented a really big piece of work without text, and we're looking now how we can get our reporter at the same place so he can write the story which is already photographed. And so there the photographer has more the role of the local journalist or the researcher, and trying, in this case, we're trying to give this photographer more credibility as a producer or an author of the story, not only as the photographer. So
Super.
And that is something what I'm trying to getting more in our daily routine, because there's so much work produced all over the world, and it's often a really nice way of inspiration, and hard to say no. So I'm starting to try to combine existing work with our reporters on the ground. So
excellent. And the final one, inevitably, of course, having talked about emails to photo editors, is where can people find your email address? How can they get in touch with you?
Maybe you can share it somewhere.
Yes. Yep, we can put it in the chat. If you go to the chat, click on everyone. Make sure you click on everyone.
And then I will put my email address.
There we go.
Double checking if there are no spelling mistakes, but I think okay.
That looks good.
If all the emails are getting back, you should ask Stefan for the right, but this is the right email address.
Yeah, that looks good. That's great. Thank you very much, Gabriel. So that's been a great discussion. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
The stories look fantastic. I mean, the combination of stills, videos, infographics, maps, layout, really compelling work, I think. So I hope everyone who's interested in pitching to you goes off and spends a lot of time on the website having a look at those for inspiration, because they look really good. Yes, and thank you to everyone in the audience for coming and for their questions. And we'll be back soon in a couple of weeks with another event in the meantime. But Gabriel, thank you. And we appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
Okay, we'll see you later.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.